So the next mesh tool we'll be talking about is AutoSmooth. So AutoSmooth is located under Mesh Tools. It's the second option, and it's the same AutoSmooth that's located under Sharpen, which we discussed earlier. Sometimes you don't actually want to sharpen your mesh. You just want to deal with your smoothing, and for that reason you can just go in AutoSmooth and actually roll the wheel to get smoothing exactly where you want. This can come in handy in times when you're dealing with like rather advanced angles, so we'll just try to create such an angle so that angle looks like it will survive. We'll add a cube and perform a boolean with Control-Alt-Numpad- and give this one a slightly more advanced angle, and maybe even round this area off, and we'll add a cube here as well and do the same thing, Control-Alt-Numpad- and just move this edge out. And if we shift click to go inside the modal, we see that the shading isn't going to work out at this particular angle. So by rolling the wheel back, we can actually find the fine line that we want. So this actually gets our shading looking good, but it does compromise the front to a degree. So these are times when I do opt to just kind of fine move the cursor in order to find just the right amount that works. So this is actually the minimal that this amount of AutoSmooth is going to allow me to go. So that means in edit mode, I more than likely need to go in and actually grab this edge manually and mark it. But it just assists with assisting users with auto smoothing. Over time, based off of the solenoid tutorials, it became apparent that users might be having some issues when it comes to smoothing in general. So we wanted to create a more accessible way to handle smoothing. And so that's where this comes from. If we go under Mesh Tools and we hit this with a sphere cast, we see that this object is basically faceted and could use a degree of smoothing. That's where AutoSmooth comes in. We could just go in and just roll the AutoSmooth and it will perform the smooth shading and everything aside from marking, just allowing you to focus on just the AutoSmooth aspect of the mesh itself. So there'll come about multiple modeling issues where you'll find yourself needing to just simply adjust the AutoSmooth in order to proceed with an adequate looking result. And for that reason, pressing Q and going to Mesh Tools, AutoSmooth is there for you. In fact, if we hover over it, we see the tooltip says that you could basically start it at any particular number that you want. In fact, I will alt click it to start at 15, and we see that it still starts us off at 30. So 30 appears to be the default that's recommended for at least starting off with AutoSmooth. But just know that anytime you go into it, you can just roll your mouse back to get exactly where you want it and find just that right amount of smoothing that you want. Most of the time you'll want everything to be perfectly smooth, but sometimes you'll want it to be just low enough to let certain areas pop through, and for that reason, AutoSmooth.